Welcome back to our website. My name is Nachimba Victoria and I'm here to teach Primary 5 English. The topic is vehicle repair and maintenance. The subtopic is parts of a vehicle. This is lesson 31 with a title, Using Before. Let us first remind ourselves about the use of having. We said having can be used at the beginning of the sentence to show when a certain action was done before or after the other. We also have sentences like, having gone to the garage, Mr. Lumu repaired his bicycle. In this video, we are going to describe the use of before. We are going to construct sentences using before, and we are going to rewrite sentences using before. Let us get started. Before is an adverb of time. It tells us when certain actions were done. In this case, we are going to use it at the beginning of the sentence, and we are going to use a comma after the first statement. Let us try these sentences. We are going to construct these sentences using before. Remember, we are using it at the beginning of the sentence and a comma after the first statement. My sentence 1 is, before starting the car, Mr. Akol cleaned the windscreen. Before starting the car, that's a comma. I did not say before starting the car, comma, because you don't read the comma, but you just pause to show where the comma is. So the sentence is, before starting the car, Mr. Akol cleaned the windscreen. Let us construct another sentence using before. Before changing the tire, the mechanic screwed the nuts. Before changing the tire, the mechanic screwed the nuts. This means that the first action that this mechanic did was screwing the nuts, then later changed the tire. When we use before at the beginning, it is followed by the last action to be done. The last example that I have is, before going to school, the young girl cleans the house. Now you might be wondering why I am using cleans. Because this sentence shows that this girl does this cleaning every time, every day, probably every week. Okay? So, the verb that comes after before, that is when it is used at the beginning of the sentence, must be in the continuous tense, just like you have seen in our constructed sentences like, before starting the car, start was changed to the continuous tense. Before changing the tire, change was changed to the continuous tense. Before going to school, go was changed to the continuous tense. But the action that comes after the comma should be in the tense of the given sentence. For example, Mr. Akol cleaned the windscreen. That is the past. If it is in the everyday tense, like before going to school, the young girl cleans the house. You leave the verb cleans in the present simple tense. Let us rewrite these sentences using before. The first one is, my mother washed utensils. My mother went to sleep. The first action was to wash the utensils, and the last action was to go to sleep. So when we use before, we shall say, before going to sleep, my mother washed the utensils. That sentence is in the past simple tense. Another one is, Joanne cleaned the house. She then went to play. The first action that was done was to clean the house, and the last action to be done was going to play. So our sentence with before will be, before going to play, Joanne cleaned the house. By now, I believe that you are able to describe the use of before. You are able to construct sentences using before, and you are able to complete sentences using before.